the league going forward, help them identify ways to maintain that connection?
I think they've got some really good people working there, so that's not something I've given a lot of thought to at this stage.
What then of the club that you're finishing up at, the Carlton Footy Club, the situation it's in, what message do you have for the players from this question?
I feel like, I think we've bottomed out and the growth is starting to come. The message was around that it's a group that's filled with really good values, and not to see that as a flippant remark, but it's something that we can hold them in good stead going forward. Murph and his leadership team are working really hard to keep the entire playing group accountable for what they want to stand for, and I guess just really encourage them to keep going down that path, but to make sure that individual responsibility remained really strong, because at the end of the day the club's made up of lots of different individuals. But I'm really hopeful and confident that significant growth is and will keep occurring at this footy club.
Was there a window, Chris, when you felt the team could have won Blakey?
No, probably not. In hindsight, 2011 was the best year I was involved with at the club, but the reality is we won one final that year, and people can say kick away from making a prelim, and it's still a million miles away in the harsh reality of just how hard it is to win premiership. So that was the closest, but as a club we were still a fair way off.
Do you have a favourite player, Chris, whether it's a teammate or an opponent for a duel in a certain game? Remember?
No, not really. There's been lots of different special duels. Perhaps a couple of the matchups with Adam Goods when we were both up and going back in my former life over in the West are probably some of the more special matchups that spring to mind.
When you left West Coast and played against them for the first time and match up against Adam Selwood, and there's talk about the sledge that you gave them, any chance you can share it?
No, that sledge can never be proven. There's no taped evidence of that, so we'll leave that alone.
Taped evidence of the shoulders?
Yep.
How are the shoulders though, Chris? I mean, there were doubts about your shoulders even before you started.
Yeah.
After footy is that you're going to have issues there.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so I won't be the first ex-player to have body parts to whinge about, but I guess to have 2 shoulder recos by the age of 17 to get 279 games out, they've served me pretty well. They've, particularly the right shoulder's paid a pretty big cost for it as well. So I'll be mindful of that, and it's going to be something I've got to deal with for the rest of my life.
How much did you change your game from the explosive West Coast player through the demands of having to adjust what your body was telling you when you came here to be more inside player from it seems from an outside perspective?
Yeah, it was just what was needed at the time. I sort of lost a bit of my speed from the groin and sort of subsequent back issues, and I just had to adapt. So I did. So it was, that's really what you do as a footballer. You make do with what you've got and try and contribute as best you can.
Most of that damage in the last few games at West Coast, where you said you probably shouldn't have played, but obviously you did. That damage you long term? Yeah,
well, it's hard to know. I mean, the groins were pretty sore, but yeah, I certainly don't think it helped. I think that and I got a bit of a dicky back out of that, and there was certainly a cost. Yeah, there was a cost to that, but that was completely my own doing. There was no one else responsible for that.
And very few negative points, a couple of tribunal incidents. How do you reflect on those in a long career?
Yeah, just with I feel like I've been involved in thousands of moments on a football field. A few of them were poor decisions, but I remember them in line with the thousands of good decisions I made. That's how I make my peace with that.
I think there's a few fans that want to know if your son grows up, do you want him to play footy, and which club does he pick under the father-son rule?
Well, he was playing for the Owls last night, which was a new team he's invented. I think we're green and red. Sorry, pink and purple. So Yeah, look, he could do whatever he wants. I think he'll probably start Auskick next year, and I don't have strong emotions if he chooses to play footy or if he doesn't. That'll be up to him.
Chris, Barry Hall led Sydney to a flag of finish and said he felt like a dog's man. How do you feel? How do you think you'll look back?
Yeah, well, I think, look, Oscar will barrack for the Blues, and I think we'll be a Carlton family. But I feel a really strong connection to both clubs. I captained a premiership at West Coast and have some great mates there, and have some great mates here, and a really strong connection to this club. So, yeah, look, probably hard to split him, but I guess we'll sort of be a Carlton family going forward.
And making that transition from footy player to footy fan, how much footy do you anticipate sort of consuming when you take the kids to the footy on the weekend? Yeah,
we will. I'll see how this year goes, because it'll still be pretty fresh this year, and I think I'll start watching the Carlton games, and if that gets a bit challenging, well, I'll have the right to switch off and do something else. So I'll just suck it and see with that. But longer term, football will always play a part of my life, and I'm sure we'll spend plenty of times going to AFL games.
What's your advice for young players coming into the game now? Give them one or two pieces of advice.
What a bit of advice. Look, I think one of the main things, if I had my time over again, would have just been to appreciate the good moments a little bit more. I was always so ambitious and focused on what was coming next that I probably didn't recognise as much when something special had really happened. So maybe I would have tweaked that if I had my time over.
We'll go one more. So if you can sum it up in a few words, how do you want to be remembered in your career?
Just as a country boy with a heart of gold. Not being from the country, that's going to make it tricky, but we never know.